Two.
Hello, and thank you guys for tuning into the
Mobility
Mobility Bros.
Bros.
I'm Coach Cliff, and that energetic energy you're looking at right there is my brother Ron Hilton. We like to talk about athletic mindset, mobility, pain reduction, pain management, thoughts and process of practitioners, and the mindset of clients and members. If that's something you're interested in, you want to tune in and stay tuned for the rest of this video. We're actually going to talk about something really important that we're going to tell you about in just a second. Ron, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. I'm wearing one of my new hoodies out of my store, and it says, "I'm going to
Nice.
pumpkin you up." All right? Yeah, yeah, man. So this is one of my Halloween specials I got. I have another one too, but I'm doing good, man, and training's going good. In the topic we're going to talk about today is really interesting because I feel like I've been through all three of these in my life, you know?
Interesting. Interesting.
So yeah, I'm really interested, really looking to get into this, because I've had times where I was, you know, bulking out, heavy, got lean, got skinny. So yeah, this is gonna be really interesting to talk about.
I'm so excited about that. So yes, make sure you guys check out if you want to support our channel and support Ron and myself, please check out the description below. This is sponsored by Fitness Essentials LLC. That is my company. We do online personal training, wellness programming, online and in person, as well as Ron's Be Legendary
Very
Athletic
athletic apparel.
Apparel, where you could get amazing stuff like that Halloween themed pumpkin you up shirt and so many more great things. So please check out the description below and support the channel. So you ready to tell them what we're going to talk about today?
Talk about it, man. So I'll break it in, man. I'll break it in like a prom dress.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's see if they're ready for it.
All right,
Let's see
so
if
the
they're ready.
topics we're going to talk about are the different body types. So there is ectomorph. So ectomorph, this is when the body is lean and slender and tends to have less body fat and muscle. Endomorph, this is when the body has more stored fat, lots of muscle, and gains weight easily. And then mesomorph, this is when the body is athletic and strong.
Have you ever found yourself in one of these three body types, or do you classify yourself as one of these three body types? There's a lot of information out there on the web where
Yeah,
people are selling you programs and things like that based on like, are you one, two, or three, and you need to eat this way and be this way if you want to see results. So if that's you, comment down on the description below your body type. We'd love to know like what you found yourself and if this video helps you learn a little bit more about that experience. Ron, have you found yourself in one of these body types?
I kind of feel I have over the years,
You didn't mention all three.
Yeah, I did mention all three. Ectomorph. This is when the body is lean and slender and tends to have less body fat and muscle. So, I would say that was when I was like 18.
Mm, mm.
When you looked at me when I was 18, I kid you not, Cliff, I was naturally shredded. Like I was lean. I didn't have no body fat. Like you can take your finger and probably dip it right into my stomach, and that six pack. Like I remember doing a video, like a VHS video of me dancing to MC Hammer with my shirt off, too legit to quit, you know,
Nice.
doing all that. And man, I was just naturally lean. And
Mm,
over time, I put that body fat on, right? And as far as the endomorph, this is when your body is stored fat, lots of muscle, and gains weight easily. So I would say as I got into my 30s and moving into my 40s, I always weight trained. I always, was building muscle. But I can't necessarily say that I was building fat easily. I mean, that's just such a blanket statement because I think a lot of people, if you're building up fat, it's just what you put in your body. If you're constantly eating, your nutrition is not the best. Of course, you're gonna build. You're gonna put on body fat. You're gonna put on weight, right? And then mesomorph. This is when the body is athletic and strong. So right now, I would say I'm in that mesomorphic state right now, right? So I'm athletic. I'm strong. My endurance is great, you know, running on the treadmill, I can steadily keep a heart rate of 140 to about 150 beats per minute, and my
Nice.
breath is great. Like I'm not, oh my God, I'm not dying. So yeah, so I would say that that's kind of where I'm at right now. Yeah.
Hmm.
So
It's interesting because so the person that came up with this concept, his name is Herbert Sheldon. He's an American psychologist. This was way back in the 1940s where he came up with this. He's a psychologist and a physician, right? So he found a way to categorize individuals into these three body types, and his theory for what he calls his somiotypes
okay,
has been controversial and is not widely accepted in many scientific and medical fields, but primarily used in the early mid 20th century, largely replacing more comprehensive evidence based on approaches to understanding human body composition.
okay,
So the reason why I think there's controversy is because there was no like fitness professional in the 1940s. You didn't need a certification for this. You just worked out with
worked out.
kettlebells, which were basically cannons that had handles on it
Yeah,
that were made in Russia. It was some of the earliest equipment ever, and so forth and so on. But when I look at my life, like I've always had body fat. I could put body fat on extremely easy. When I was a young kid, I was really lean and athletic until about, I want to say, 8 or 9. Um, and part of that was I was eating heavily and poor nutritional foods. So between the ages of like 10, 11, and 15, I just got extremely overweight for my size and for my age. I remember my sister would get in trouble for not cleaning her plate. So she couldn't play. So what I would do is I would eat her plate and my plate so that she could get out there and play. And so I was eating like 3 times the servings I needed as a child, um, and the hot dogs and the McDonald's and the pizzas and the Chinese food Fridays, and things that were affordable for my parents to maintain because we didn't come from wealthy family. My mom busted her butt to be where she
yeah,
is today
yeah,
and
yeah,
taught me valuable lessons in growth and perseverance and recognizing how to manage what you have to manage. But it wasn't always the healthiest foods or even like organic foods and stuff like that. We had way more problems with that nowadays than before. But
absolutely.
the reality is, I was just always heavy, and so until I played football and got super active in high schools, when I started to see myself lean out a bit more. But it didn't take long for me to either stay leaned out because I was extremely active, playing sports and involved, to gaining the weight right back as soon as I get into a sedentary lifestyle, whether it was, working for a John Deere dealership where I put on mad weight again. But if I'm working in the gym, if I was working as a trainer, I did this for 2 decades, then I was always able to maintain a body type.
Yeah,
But I sit easily at 240, easily, without trying. If I want to get down to 200, I have to work for it. I have to work extra hard because my body is naturally an endomorph. Now I look at my kids, my son Noah, beautiful son. Um, he doesn't have a lot of body fat at all. I mean, the kid is lean and he can eat whatever the heck he wants for as long as he wants. He's 22 years old. He's been like that his whole life, and he can eat whatever he wants all the time. I don't think he will gain that much body fat. And it's frustrating for him because he doesn't want you looking at him thinking that he's a skinny kid. He doesn't like that. It's
my
not,
son, my son.
just like heavy people don't want you to call him fat. Well, he doesn't want to be looked at as thin and lean all the time. He wants to build muscle. He wants to be confident. And he's, again, amazing kid. And I don't want to put his stuff out there too much, but it's just a concept. I think a lot of people who have struggled to put on muscle because they may be an endomorph or ectomorph, excuse
Mhm.
me, uh, understand that it's harder for them to actually put on the muscle, get bulked up, get leaned out. Whereas the endomorph, like myself, gets frustrated because all we need to do is have a couple of bad days where we stop at McDonald's or have some ice cream, and then our insulin levels shoot up, and all of a sudden we just can't, we have to work twice as hard to take off the body fat. And
Mhm.
that's what I've experienced within 20 years of seeing people and clients throughout the time. And so how do you work with people? Do you look at them? Do you express to them, hey, this is your body type, this is where you're going to be at? Or do you just go right into their needs, wants, and desires?
So I've never, I've been, I think I've been doing this just as long as you have, and I've never ever looked at someone and said, "Hey, you are this body type, and this is how we need to work with you." I basically, where I feel like, as fitness professionals, we're consultants, right? We are consultants, and we're here to consult. But part of consulting is listening to what your client is telling you,
Yes.
right? So, um, and it's interesting because I've had people that came in that were heavy, you know, they had no interest of losing weight at all. They just want to work out. Okay, let's do that. And they crush it. They get to a point where they do very well, and then they've had it. I've literally had people, and then I've had people who came in. This is insane, right? I've had people that come in who were, as you would classify as mesomorph, um, phenomenal shape, right? And then they do one of my workouts and they're throwing up. They're
Mm-hmm.
like, they don't have like that in whatever it is, like that, like, I've had bodybuilders. I had one woman. She was an Ironman. Like, she did Ironmans. She came to one of my boot camps. She threw up right in my garbage can.
Mm.
And I asked her, I said, "What's the problem?" I said, "Your endurance." She says, "The issue is that you had me doing lateral moves. You had me doing all these other movement patterns that I don't ever do." She's like, "In Ironman, everything is this way.
Sagittarius. Yep.
It's just one plane.
Mm-hmm.
You had me going up and down. You had me doing some burpees. You had me doing squats. You had me, doing weights. You had me doing everything that my body is not used to." And I saw her in it, and I saw her as like this elite athlete.
Yeah.
So, but
Interesting.
it's just really just listening to what people are looking for, and just going there and just giving advice. Obviously, if I see somebody that's overweight and um, they need to lose some pounds, but they just have no interest in nutrition. I think it's a little bit of just um, getting to just building a relationship first,
Mm.
right? Because if they're just coming in, they just see you as this fitness professional. You don't want to come off like, well, you know what? Um, you don't want to state the obvious. Well, you need to lose weight, But after a couple of months of building that relationship and that rapport, you could easily say, "Hey, you know what? I know that you just said you came in here to work out. I think if you worked on losing some lbs, your performance will go right through the roof. It would just take off."
Mm.
And
Mm.
then you have the opposite where people just come in to just lean, and they just want to put them, and they just want to put on, some more muscle. So, and you just keep that. Like, I never, again, I never categorize anybody in these categories at all. At the whole entire time I've trained, I just really just listen to what their wants or needs are and just focused on that.
Very interesting concept. And I love the demographics and the example of, the Iron Man bodybuilder, or the Iron Man versus the bodybuilder versus the person that just wants to lift heavy and get into more physical shape and not worry about weight, and the person that cares about nutrition versus the person that doesn't care about nutrition, because all of it matters, right? And yeah, I agree 100%. I don't know if you need to live or die on the I need to make sure people know what body type they are. I think as a professional, if you have that in your back pocket, maybe depending on the circumstance, it can help you, or depending on the way you're branding yourself, you know, that might be your whole stick. Like my brand is going to be educating people on their body types because they don't know. And if they do know, then I could lead them into these directions. And, again, there's very successful people out there that are selling programs at the hundreds of thousands that are all
Yeah.
over our social media that say, take this quick test to find out what your body type is. And once you find out what your body type is, then you'll be able to do all these things. The one thing that I do consistently is I measure people's body fat percentage,
Yep.
so that I can see where their body fat percentage is versus their muscle. Um, and I even use that more than the BMI overall body
Me
mass
too.
index,
Me too.
because I want to know whether you're 150 pounds or 400 pounds, how much fat versus muscle we're working with here, and how are we doing with converting that fat into muscle
Right.
to make
Right.
sure your body's overall optimal, right? Because that is the key. We need fat for our brains, our vital organs. There's some things men and women have that has to have some fat around it. Fat is not the worst thing ever. But if your body fat is, 50%, 38% of your body, then you could be dealing with diabetes, you could be dealing with clogged arteries, you could be dealing with so many different things. And then, even going deeper, I like to know what's your HDL versus your LDL. What is your healthy fats versus your lousy fats, right? Because then we know what's going on in your bloodstream. How are you optimizing your volume of oxygen? How are you breathing? How are you working? Your body's working during the exercises. So those are some really key things that I look at. But
Yep.
then again, I've seen people who are ectomorphs, very lean, very thin, right? They come in, they do a body fat percentage scale. Their body fat's through the roof. And you're like, oh, you skinny fat, right? You
Yep.
might be you
Love
might
it.
be
Love
lean
it.
and
I love it.
thin, but your body fat is like 38%. They're like, what? How is that possible?
Right.
Well, you're not training, you're not lifting, you're just doing the bare minimum, and you're genetically thin. It's your genetics, right? And like you said, I've seen some people that just look amazing and they never lifted a weight. They
Mm.
just were born, looking good. And so then you put them there and their strength endurance is lousy. Their overall strength is lousy. Their stability and balance is lousy. And you're looking at this person like, you got all this muscle, but you don't know how to activate any of it. And they're like,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
I didn't have to. I just
Yeah.
walked in life, take my shirt off at the beach, and the ladies come flocking, and vice versa. So,
There's a guy I train with in jujitsu. He's in his mid 50s, and he legit said, "I've never lifted a weight in my life," but he is like lean. And mind you, he's taken martial arts for over 25, 30 years. So his way of training has always been through martial arts, but um his former martial art that he initially started out with, there's not a whole lot of like endurance training in it, right? But it's a lot of old school like techniques and things you do to activate muscle, but everything's body weight engaged. But that being said, he's like, we were in the changing room one day, and he was saying that him and his girlfriend went out, and he said he grabbed a thing of Ben and Jerry's, and then when he got home, he actually had that for dinner, and then a whole pint of Ben and Jerry's. And his girlfriend was like, "Are you for real? Are you literally gonna eat that for dinner?" He's like, "I'm a grown man." Well, he says a little bit more than that, but you know, and
yeah.
it's just like I can eat what I want because I all my life I've been this way. He's I've never put on any weight.
Wow.
It's just natural like that, dude. I sit down and eat a pint of Ben and Jerry's. I wake up, I put on 5 pounds, bro. Like
Yeah, my insulin levels are through the roof. Like, sure, I'll go have fun with Ben and Jerry's, but I know what my insulin levels are gonna do. I
yeah,
know my insulin levels are gonna spike like crazy, which means my cortisol levels are gonna spike like crazy, which means I'm gonna have visceral fat. I'm gonna get some fat moving, and
yeah,
And the next day I may be an extra 5 pounds, seriously. And 2 or
Crazy.
3 of those pounds may be inflammation, but some of that weight's gonna be like, oh, we're gonna put on a little bit of fat because you done ate, you know what I mean? Ice cream for dinner. So
Yeah, right,
it's
right, right,
yeah, and it's so easy. Like I said, I truly feel like my whole life. I mean, I'm 38 years old, gonna be 39 in December, and my whole life it has been a pretty easy to get heavy. If I want to put on weight, even when I was training for football, for college ball, I wanted to put on weight, get up here into like the 240s, 245s, but keep my speed. I was running 4.8 40s. And so I had to eat massively and train extremely hard, because I got out of high school at like 195, which was the lowest I've ever weighed in shape. Um, but I was like 180 in the eighth grade. So it wasn't that hard to get up there. I just got taller. So it
yeah,
all leaned out, I got taller and leaned out, and I was active, and I was in the weight room for the first time ever. I was out of the New York City lifestyle and into the suburban lifestyle. So I was active. I was playing manhunt. I was riding my bike everywhere. It was a walking town. So I was walking to school every day, or
yeah,
walking to the store, or walking to visit my girlfriend, or riding an old school bike, or whatever. It was just super active, right? Where in New York City, it was like go home, get inside the house, go to school. Maybe I did Boy Scouts for a little bit, get back inside the house, but I was always sedentary, and I had asthma in the city. So my mom was even scared for me to be active. Um, so maybe there's more to this whole body type thing than just being born that way. But
right,
I do think, it's interesting that a psychologist created this method, and not like a medical doctor. You know what I'm saying?
right.
So why do you think it was a psychologist? Last question, if we have, why do you think a psychologist created this?
I don't know. I think human beings in general are just curious, right? So maybe it goes deeper with some more information about this psychologist's background. I don't know, but I can assume that he just had a fascination for learning about the human body. But like you said, there was no one back then who was like, a certified strength coach or a strength conditioning coach or athletic professionals. Athletic professionals were just people just in the gym. I mean, gyms were basically back then were basketball courts filled with all this gymnastic equipment, and that's how people worked out. And maybe he just got fascinated with the different body types. So I think people are just curious in nature, and I think maybe he just got curious about what that about different people. I mean, I know, like, back to what you were saying about checking out people's body compositions and stuff like that. I said when I was coaching and doing a lot of training, I actually did a fit test. I had a standard fit test I would do, and it didn't matter who you were. It didn't matter how big, skinny, little bit. I had a standard fit test, and that fit test actually gave me numbers. And then I did. It was my way of getting a new client, onboarding a new client. So I would warm them up, do all their body fat composition, get that down. I had a standard sheet that says like where their body fat was. So I had information that actually gave them, and then I would do a fit test. And then 60 days later, I would do that all over again.
Yeah.
And it was cool because they saw results from that, right? They saw that their body fat went down. They saw that I got more gains in that fit test. And again, it was just a standard fit test. I never changed it. But when they saw they were doing more push-ups, more body rows, more air squats, and everything was timed in a minute. How many you could do in a minute. So it just gave like a really good thing. So again, it was interesting because even all in different body types, people start seeing results.
That is exactly what I think matters the most out of this whole conversation. It's I think we need to always remember that measuring what we're trying to do, matching the things that we are want to achieve, and mirroring some of the the people that maybe we look at and say, oh, I want to look like Hugh Jackman because Hugh Jackman looks awesome as Wolverine, right? And he's got the ripped abs and the blah blah blah.
He also
Okay,
got he also got trainers and people making his food.
yes,
That's a big
hun-
difference.
he's got hundreds of thousands of dollars that go towards his fitness
Yeah.
regimen.
He's probably got someone that's actually got the dumbbell and they're just doing this for him. They're just making him do abs. He just likes this, you know. So
Oh, and the recovery, he's got like probably all sorts of amazing things. I mean, Tom Brady came out with a book recently about being fit and strong. And when you start reading the book and you see how much he invested in himself on a daily basis to stay in shape and play ball for that long, again, the normal average person can't afford to do that, especially in this climate and this economy with inflation and everything going crazy. It's more expensive to try to do those things. So
absolutely. I mean, just a little bit of a sidebar. So just to your point, when I was working out west with the Olympic athletes, it's really interesting because there are the athletes that got sponsorships. They have their own personal medical. They got everything, right?
mm,
Then you have those Olympic athletes. They have so a lot of them have this college experience where they get everything through college, right? And then they get out of college, they have no sponsorships or anything like that, so they don't have any of that. But they're still high level athletes, but they're not at that peak point yet where someone's going to pick them up. So I, I literally had one of the athletes I was working on, and I worked on her probably like 5, 6 times, and then finally at one point I said, "Hey, listen, I think it was a shoulder issue. I actually really took care of her shoulder. It did some hips, some psoas work." I said, "You know what? You really gotta, I think you should talk to your trainer about, working on some of these issues and getting you more fluent with your body." She goes, "Trainer? What trainer? You're my trainer. I ain't got no body. I'm here
wow,
by myself." I'm like, "Really? You know?"
wow, yeah,
Really. So just to your point, it's like, some people got to really work harder on their fitness and their goals to get to that level. And some people have that entourage and those people to help them do that.
yeah. It's so true, and all that is a factor, right? Outside of just what body type you are, and
Yeah.
so I think paying attention to your nutrition, maybe looking at yourself throughout history, and guys, if this video helped you understand a little bit more about the three body types, how different professionals approach body types, what we view between me and Ron are important, which is body fat percentage, and where you are with your body fat percentage, measuring everything you're doing, then write down in the comments if that felt like a valuable conversation. We'd love to know where you are in your fitness journey and if we can help serve you in any way, shape, or form. If you put it in the comments, we'll be able to go down there and see what's going on with that. And hopefully we can help you out with a comment or two of our own to help you see where you are in life and where we are and how we can connect together. So thank you
Awesome.
so much for watching this
Thank
video.
you. Thank you.
Thank you for always coming back and supporting us. We wouldn't be able to do this without your support. Again, check out the link in the bio if you want to support Ron. Look at Be Legendary Apparel, grab that pumpkin sweater or any other amazing shirts or hats that he has available. If you want to support me, check out Fitness Essentials LLC. Book yourself a consultation. Let's talk. Let's see how we can add value in
This
your
is the
life,
man. This
set
is
up your program, and maybe even talk about the three body types and where you fit in that category. Thank you so much again. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time. Ron, why don't you take us out?
Just stay awesome, keep stepping to greatness, and be legendary. Have the most amazing day, everyone, and take
Take
care for
care.
now.